Hello, Jeff here, and I'm going to show you the first step for our jigsaw puzzle kit. So ultimately this is going to be a laser cut jigsaw puzzle, but the first thing we need to do is get our printed image onto our backer board. So I have my backer board here. This is just a piece of MDF wood, and you'll have one as well. I've also got a couple other things in my kit. I've got a little foam brush. I got a bottle of Mod Podge. This is what's gonna stick everything together. And I've got my printed image. You submitted your printed image, so yours will be different. I have opted for a picture of the cast of season 1 of my favorite, one of my favorite sci-fi shows, which is Babylon 5, which is a goofy 90s sci-fi show. So I'm gonna make a jigsaw puzzle out of all of their smiling faces. And so I'm also gonna, put some gloves on just because I like to be fancy. But this stuff is washable, so you don't need gloves. It's basically just glue. It's like Elmer's glue, more or less. It dries clear. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I got a little cup here. You could use a cup or a bowl or a plate or whatever. I'm just gonna dump my Mod Podge, some of it, I don't think I'll need all of it, into a cup here. And get some on my brush, like that. And I'm using an old piece of scrap as a placemat, kind of, to contain my mess, but you could use anything. You could use newspaper or whatever. This is just what I'm using. So what we're gonna do is put a coating, a light coat of Mod Podge on our board, and we're gonna put a coat of Mod Podge on the back of our art, and then we're gonna stick them together and spread out any bubbles, and then we're gonna put another thin coat on top of everything, and then we're gonna leave it sit and let it dry. It takes a while, a few hours, and then when it's completely dry, we'll move on to the next step. So first things first, let's put on a little coat of my Mod Podge here, all over the backer board. A nice, even, consistent coat all over the whole thing. If you don't use enough, you won't get good adhesion, and the paper will peel off of the backer board when you're laser cutting it, or when we're laser cutting it. Okay, there's a nice even coat of that. Now I'm gonna take my artwork, flip it over, and I'm gonna put some on the back of my paper as well. See how my paper starts to curl up? That's something I'm gonna have to fight against. Back of the paper is going to want to curl up when it gets wet, but we're going to stop it from doing that when we stick it down onto our backer board. So there we go. Got a nice coating on there. So now I'm just going to try and center it up a little bit. Press it down. I want to make sure I get all the bubbles out. So I'm going to smooth it out just with my fingers. Get all those bubbles out. You don't want any trapped bubbles. Okay. I think that's looking good. I'm not seeing any bubbles, but you'll see them when you stick it on there, and you'll push them off to the side, and they'll just sort of pop out the side and everything will stick nice and flat. But it's real important that you get this all stuck down really well. So once that's stuck on there, we're going to put a third coat on top of everything. So just get a little bit of my Mod Podge here. And it's going to look weird at first because you're going to be like, whoa, I'm covering everything up with glue. But the stuff dries clear. So as it dries, it's going to clear and you won't notice that it's even there. You might need to do 2 coats on top. You know, do 1 coat, let it dry completely, put a second coat on. Sure. Also going to finish by doing strokes in all the same directions so that it comes out looking kind of nice and uniform. Cool. I'm very happy with how that looks. Everything is stuck down there. Now before I let it dry, I want to put something under it. Otherwise, whatever I'm setting it on, if I got some Mod Podge on the bottom, it'll stick itself to whatever it's drying on. So I'm going to use just a couple of pieces of crumpled up paper towel. And make some like paper towel balls. Gonna make 4 of them and set them down in a little square. Ball them up a little better. You could use anything for this. You could use a little stack of pennies or a piece of scrap wood or something. Anything will work. Some crumpled up tin foil works really well. I'm just gonna set that on there. So now it's got space around it, so when it dries it won't stick to whatever my work surface is. So we're going to let this dry and we'll come back in a little while and we'll see you know, what it looks like. I think it'll take, let's see, does it say on here? "20 to 30 minutes, so not too bad. We're just going to let it dry. And then yeah, I think we could probably definitely get away with putting a couple more coats on top. You can build up as many coats as you like, but I think maybe at least 2. So in 20 minutes I'll put another coat on top and I'll just, you know, come back and see what it looks like when it's dry. So I'm going to set a 20-minute timer and go from there.